This is the true story of how one spectacular crash at the 1970 U.S. Nationals changed professional drag racing forever, and how its legacy helped save countless lives in motorsport. Don the Snake. Prudhomme was already becoming a legend in drag racing by 1970. Despite being just 29 years old, he had racked up an impressive resume with multiple NHRA victories and a reputation as one of the most skilled drivers on the circuit. His precision on the track and mechanical aptitude made him a natural in the volatile world of funny car racing, where quarter-mile runs pushed nitromethane-fueled machines to their absolute limits, often exceeding 6 G-forces during acceleration. From his earliest appearances in the sport, Prudhomme showed exceptional talent at handling the temperamental 3,000 horsepower beasts that funny cars were in that era. He was known for his cool demeanor under pressure, earning him the nickname the Snake for his lightning-quick reflexes and calculated approach to racing. His rival and friend Tom the Mongoose McEwen once said it perfectly: Don wasn't just fast. He understood these machines in a way few others did, which made what happened even more shocking to everyone. Prudhomme came from automotive royalty of sorts. His father was a skilled mechanic who instilled in him a deep understanding of engines and the physics of high-performance vehicles from an early age. Starting at just 11 years old, young Don would spend hours in his father's garage, learning to rebuild carburetors and tune engines before he could even legally drive. This mechanical background gave Don an edge that few competitors could match. He could feel what his car was doing in a way that seemed almost supernatural to observers. After demonstrating his skill in various drag racing classes, Prudhomme became one of the first drivers to fully embrace the new funny car category that was revolutionizing the sport in the late 1960s. Driving his striking Plymouth Barracuda, fitted with a supercharged 426 cubic inch Chrysler Hemi engine capable of producing over 3,000 horsepower, he quickly established himself as one of the class's most formidable competitors. By the time the 1970 season was underway, Prudhomme had collected several major victories and was considered among the favorites at any event he entered. His rivalry with Tom McEwen had already become the stuff of legend, attracting unprecedented mainstream attention when toy manufacturer Mattel signed both drivers to a $250,000 sponsorship deal in 1969, creating the Snake and Mongoose Hot Wheels line. This marketing coup transformed drag racing from a niche motorsport into family entertainment. Hot Wheels toys brought NHRA racing into children's playrooms across America and became one of the most successful merchandising programs in motorsport history. The U.S. Nationals at Indianapolis Raceway Park was the crown jewel of the NHRA season. On Labor Day weekend in 1970, approximately 150,000 fans packed the grandstands with millions more watching on ABC's Wide World of Sports television broadcast. The event was the most prestigious on the calendar. Winning at Indy meant etching your name into drag racing history, alongside legends like Don Garlits and Shirley Muldowney. Prudhomme qualified strongly with a time of 7.41 seconds at 197 miles per hour and steadily advanced through the elimination rounds on race day. His last victory before the final, a convincing win over Jim Dunn, established him as the clear favorite for the championship round. The final matchup couldn't have been scripted better: Snake versus Mongoose, the sport's most marketable rivalry on its biggest stage. As the drivers prepared for the final run, neither could have known they were about to participate in a moment that would fundamentally alter drag racing forever. When the Christmas tree lights counted down and both cars launched, everything seemed normal for the first few seconds. Prudhomme's Barracuda leapt off the line with its characteristic ferocity, flames belching from the headers as the nitromethane-fueled engine produced upwards of 3,000 horsepower. For the first 100 feet, it was a textbook run with Prudhomme pulling slightly ahead of McEwen. Then, at approximately half-track, disaster struck without warning. Prudhomme's engine experienced a catastrophic detonation, what racers call a blower explosion. In a fraction of a second, the supercharger atop the engine, spinning at over 6,000 RPM, tore loose from its mounting bolts. The resulting explosion sent shockwaves through the entire vehicle, with a force equivalent to about 40 pounds of TNT. The fiberglass body, which was only loosely attached to the chassis at that time by 4 quick-release Zeus fasteners, completely disintegrated. Pieces of the car flew in all directions as the fuel system ruptured, spraying nearly 10 gallons of nitromethane that instantly ignited. In less than a second, Prudhomme's race car transformed from a precision machine into a fireball, hurtling down the track at nearly 200 miles per hour. The force of the explosion was so great that the entire top half of the car disappeared in a cloud of flame and debris. Television cameras captured the horrifying sequence in vivid detail at 24 frames per second, footage that would later be studied frame by frame by safety engineers looking to understand exactly what had gone wrong. According to engineering analyses performed afterward, Prudhomme experienced forces estimated at over 7 G during the initial explosion. Spectators gasped in horror as Prudhomme, now exposed in what remained of the chassis and wearing only a single-layer fire suit and open-face helmet, standard equipment of the era, fought to control the disintegrating vehicle. With remarkable presence of mind, he managed to activate the parachute system, slowing what remained of the car as it veered toward the guardrail. When the wreckage finally came to a stop near the 1,000-foot marker, safety crews rushed to the scene, expecting the worst. Miraculously, Prudhomme emerged from the mangled chassis under his own power, shaken, singed, with second-degree burns on his hands and face, but alive. His survival was later attributed to pure luck and the minimal protection his single-layer Nomex fire suit provided. Engineers who examined the wreckage afterward concluded that had the explosion been slightly different, or had debris struck him differently, the outcome would likely have been fatal. The race was immediately red-flagged. A stunned silence fell over Indianapolis Raceway Park as fans tried to process what they had just witnessed. The television broadcast, which had captured the entire incident, replayed the explosion in slow motion, bringing the near disaster into living rooms across America. ABC commentator Keith Jackson, normally unflappable, was momentarily speechless before saying simply, "Ladies and gentlemen, we've just witnessed a miracle." Within days, the footage was being analyzed by NHRA officials and safety experts. The severity of the explosion and the complete disintegration of the vehicle's protective structure sent shockwaves through the organization. For an association that had traditionally focused more on performance than protection, Prudhomme's crash was an urgent wake-up call. "After reviewing what happened to Don's car, we realized we were on borrowed time," said Wally Parks, NHRA founder, who was part of the subsequent safety investigation. "If we didn't make significant changes, we were going to lose drivers. It was that simple." The immediate reaction from sponsors was equally dramatic. Mattel executives, who had bet heavily on making drag racing family-friendly entertainment, were horrified at the thought of their star driver nearly perishing on national television. The company immediately began pressing for enhanced safety measures if they were to continue their sponsorship, threatening to pull their lucrative deal if significant changes weren't implemented before the 1971 season. In the aftermath, the NHRA formed its first comprehensive safety commission, tasked with preventing similar catastrophes. Their findings led to sweeping changes that would transform how funny cars were designed and raced. The most visible change came in how bodies were attached to the chassis. New rules mandated explosion-resistant mounting systems and body component tethering with minimum 1/8-inch steel cables rated for 1,500 pounds of tension. These changes ensured that even during a catastrophic engine failure, the protective body would remain largely intact around the driver. Engine containment systems were completely redesigned. Blower restraint straps rated at 4,000 pounds became mandatory, preventing superchargers from becoming deadly projectiles during an explosion. Fuel systems were revamped with automatic shutoff valves and redesigned fuel cells encased in ballistic nylon that wouldn't rupture as easily under stress. For drivers, the transformation was equally significant. Fire suit standards were dramatically upgraded, with multi-layer Nomex suits becoming mandatory. The NHRA required a minimum of 3 layers for all nitromethane classes. Helmet designs were improved with the introduction of full-face models, and driver compartments were reinforced with additional tubing and padding. Perhaps most significantly, the NHRA instituted the first formal chassis inspection and certification program in its history. Every car now had to pass rigorous safety inspections before being allowed to compete, a dramatic departure from the previous approach that had largely left safety to individual teams. Prudhomme himself became a vocal advocate for the new safety standards, often speaking to younger drivers about the importance of protection over pure speed. "I got lucky," he would tell them, showing footage of his Indianapolis explosion. "But we can't count on luck to keep people alive." By the mid-1970s, the NHRA had transformed from an organization that had prioritized spectacle into one where safety innovation became a point of pride. The changes sparked by Prudhomme's crash spread to other motorsport disciplines as well, with other racing bodies adopting similar containment systems and inspection protocols. Today's funny cars bear little resemblance to the fragile machines of 1970. Modern vehicles produce more than 11,000 horsepower, nearly 4 times what Prudhomme's car generated. Yet drivers routinely survive crashes and explosions that would have been fatal in the pre-Indianapolis era. The NHRA estimates that since implementing these changes, at least 42 drivers have survived incidents comparable to or worse than Prudhomme's 1970 crash. Every tether, every fire, suppression nozzle, every reinforced roll cage in today's cars carries the legacy of that moment in 1970 when Don Prudhomme's car exploded around him. The NHRA now proudly touts its safety record and innovations, with the organization's technical staff continuing to study every incident for opportunities to further improve protection. In 1994, Prudhomme established the Snake Racing Safety Foundation, which provides financial assistance to injured drivers and contributes to ongoing safety research. Since its inception, the foundation has donated over $3.5 million to safety initiatives and helped develop new fire suit materials that are now standard across multiple racing disciplines. The foundation also established the annual Safety Summit, where engineers, drivers, and medical professionals gather to review incidents from the previous season and propose new safety measures. These summits have led to numerous innovations, including the implementation of onboard fire suppression systems that activate automatically during a crash. Prudhomme's near-death experience also inspired a comprehensive medical response overhaul within the NHRA. Today, every national event features a fully equipped trauma center staffed by specialists in burn treatment and head injuries, medical capabilities that simply didn't exist at drag strips before the 1970 incident. In 2009, Don Prudhomme was inducted into the Motorsports Hall of Fame, with his survival of the 1970 Indianapolis explosion specifically mentioned as a pivotal moment in racing history. The citation noted that, while Prudhomme's driving record speaks for itself, his greatest contribution may have been surviving a crash that forced an entire sport to reimagine its approach to safety. That crash at Indianapolis didn't just change NHRA forever, it may have saved the sport itself, transforming a spectacle of danger into an exhibition of engineering excellence where speed and safety evolve together. One driver, one car, one moment of catastrophic failure that ultimately made drag racing better for everyone who followed. In a 2020 interview marking the 50th anniversary of the crash, Prudhomme, then 79 years old, reflected, "I sometimes think about all the guys who've walked away from crashes because of what we learned that day. That means more to me than any trophy I ever won."